everybody, and welcome to a new season of the Operation Motorsport eMotorsport iRacing series here from Road Atlanta for our opening round of Season 12. To rounding off the season just before Christmas last year, it's great to be back here on Racesport TV with another season and weeks of racing ahead of us here, starting at Road Atlanta with round one here, a sprint race here tonight. Taking you through the season, myself, Ian O'Leary and Jeremy Scott in the commentary box, with Ramiro Augustin Cisneros behind the cameras of this Racesport TV broadcast tonight. Jeremy, good to be alongside you for this one. It is a new season and we're starting off with a real shock to the system, I would describe it as. Road Atlanta, one of the more difficult circuits of our calendar, coming up right from the beginning.
Let's just get it out of the way early and rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah, this is an absolutely fantastic track. And what's interesting is with the mix of cars that we have here, we have 34 cars that have at least registered that we see in the qualifying session. It's going to be interesting to see how quick it takes some of these faster cars to catch up to the traffic. So I'm excited to see how this 45-minute sprint race will go.
Yeah, indeed. Lots to chat through as far as the changes are concerned from last season. Of course, the schedule is the first one of those. We'll be broadcasting the sprint races live here on Racesport TV. They are fortnightly on Tuesday nights here at this time. So make sure you join us on Racesport TV for those. Starting with Road Atlanta tonight. There'll be a Sebring Endurance later on this week, but we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for the Watkins Glen sprint round. That'll be followed by the COTA sprint round just off the back of an endurance race at the same venue. Barber Motorsports Park in Virginia will host our next round. Virginia, of course, hosted our finale last season. It will then host an endurance round as well as Mosport, then the next sprint round for Road America. We'll be there for the third last round, then 2 endurance rounds to end the season at Daytona and Spa. The only non-North American race is right at the very end on the 6th of June. These are the cars available, and we've expanded from the GT3 league that we had last season with all the different classes, which will remain for the drivers, as we'll talk about in a second. But it's LMP2s included this time, the 992.2, the GT3s and the GT4s. And these are how we're identifying our drivers, same way as last season. But in case you weren't with us, here's a reminder. A beneficiary class driver is enrolled as an Operation Motorsport beneficiary. A Pro Ben class driver is enrolled as an Operation Motorsport beneficiary as well, but also meets the Pro class requirements at the bottom of the screen, which I'll go through in a second. An open class driver is any serving military member or veteran not enrolled as an Operation Motorsport beneficiary, or any staff member, volunteer or supporter of Operation Motorsport, or any other participants on a case-by-case basis as determined by the eMotorsports manager. And for those Pro class drivers, this applies to the Pro Ben drivers and indeed just Pro. Any competition license holder, past or presence of IMSA, SRO, FEL or other sanctioning body of that type, iRacing A-Class road license holder, iRating of 1900 or higher, and a safety rating of 3.99 or higher as well. That applies to just the Pro class drivers and indeed the Pro Ben class drivers. And in case you've not seen this series before, those are the ones you expect to see coming towards the front as far as the drivers are concerned. They were the ones who would win races when it was even all one class last season in the GT3s. As you can see, they're spread across the classes here this time around. Currently on pole is Matt Smotherman in the LMP2 class, followed by Elias Roman at the moment, nearly a second behind. But this is going to be pretty busy out there tonight, Jeremy. Just over 30 drivers in the field. We've got 32 having set in times. Hopefully the other 2 who haven't will get onto the grid. But you bring up the point about traffic straight away. That's because it is going to be so important around here. And yes, it's going to be important in other places as well. Watkins Glen, the next round we'll be here for, is not the widest circuit in the world. Certainly neither is Barber or VIR, by the way. But this is the first part of the season when you're still trying to work things out and everything. That's quite difficult to contend with.
Yeah, it really is, especially because you only have 2, maybe 3 long straightaways that these LMP2s can really stretch their legs out. So when you have such a speed difference between the LMP2s and the GT4s, traffic is going to become a big part of the program. And of course, looking at your top 3 fastest LMP2 drivers, they're all pros. No surprise here. Smotherman, Roman, and Bissett, I think that they can be able to handle the traffic. But really, take a look at the GT4s as well. It's a lot of O's in there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how the GT4s work the traffic with the LMP2s.
Yeah, indeed. It's not not something you see too often, that sort of interaction in the field, but indeed that's what we're going to get. Again, in case you haven't seen this series before, there are some things that are similar to last season. We're just coming towards the end of a qualifying session at the moment. Each driver getting 4 laps. The reason why there's nobody still out there is because the laps are so short around here. It means that qualifying is over a bit quicker than what it will be for some of the rounds to come. But 20 minutes to complete those 4 laps, and then it's a 45-minute sprint race to come in a few moments' time. That is the same as what we had last season, although, as I mentioned, it was just GT3s. And we had a very, very exciting championship, I must say. The closest to the championships by far was the Open class, from what I remember. And it was very exciting. Came down to very, very few points on the final day. Let's see whether we get something similar here. Let's try and go through the classes in one order. We'll start with LMP2 because that is the fastest time overall. It's Matt Smotherman who's taken the pole in front of Elias Roman and Justin Bessett. Tanner Masters, the fastest of the Pro Ben drivers, in 4th, moved up to Pro Ben after spending last year in just the beneficiary class. Kyle Schuck and Gene Kelly then are sharing row 3. 7th place to Zachary Beisch. Louis Rios, last season's beneficiary champion, is up to the LMP2s in 8th. Trevor H did not set a time. In the 992.2 category, Skylar Vickroy has taken the pole and the pro class driver. In fact, the first 3 are again. Martin Bob Wallace is then in second, ahead of Willie Brennan. Ty Schuring is then the pole sitter for Pro Ben in this category, with John Salada and Scott Andrews sharing row 3. Chris Glandon and Nicholas, we'll need to get a second name, but they're on the 8th position as well, 7th and 8th in the 992.2 category. We've got some people in different classes here. So this is Tyler Manning's class in the Open class in a GT4 at the moment. We'll get these switched around and sorted out. Kyler Manning in front of Carl Shelton. Mason Cardinal's up there regularly last season. Nate Orlovsky alongside him. Then it's Andrew Cooper and Peter Hitzerman who round off row 3 in that category. Justin Wells next, and then Charles Saint-Pierre and Rui Farina, who didn't set a time in that category. And here are the GT3s, so we'll get them switched back the right way around again. Beneficiary class pole sitter indeed for GT3s. Jason McSparron is on the pole in front of Chance Sheffield. Damien Castro, Richard Davenport on row 2 in front of Dave Bell and Casey Sobel, who are on row 3. John Hicks and Elliot Whitfield in the back end of the field. The formation lap, or indeed very short formation lap as it is, through the chicane and onto the front straight they come. We're pretty much ready to go for another season of Operation Motorsport action. Round 1 here from Road Atlanta sees the green flag wave and we are underway. Matt Smotherman with a good start off the front. Roman alongside will get his nose chopped off nearly there. Tanner Masters that was, looking down the inside, coming in towards turn 1 for these LMP2s. You can see the 992s and the GT3s mixed up all together at the moment. It's the 992s leading down as Skylar Vickroy is leading the field on the way down. Yes, it's for the very first time. It is a mixed up sports car field as these LMP2s don't get too far away from the GT3s, and some of those 992s are quicker off the start than some of these realistically faster GT3s in the field.
Which is kind of a little bit of a surprise watching the lap times from qualifying. The 992s look like they could have mixed it up with the GT3s. So far, so good for this portion of the lap, as you're seeing the LMP2s start to stretch their legs just a little bit. Got a good battle there for 6th place in LMP2 between Bash and Rios. That again for 6th place, as you're watching the field work their way around turn number 10 again. It's 45 minutes, but you and everybody still got to feel themselves out really quick because the action's going to come hard and fast.
It's going to come very fast indeed. Jason McSparron is leading down there in the GT. It's going to be the GT3 class. We'll switch that around in a moment. But also, of course, for the beneficiaries, quite a long way in front of Chance Sheffield at the moment. So the fact that those classes are mixing, means that you can get a bit of a lead in that category. By qualifying well and then starting well indeed off the start of one of these races. There we go, we switched those around for you. So Jason McSparron leading in the GT3s and Tyler Manning leading in the GT4s a little bit further down. Carl Shelton just gets front of Mason Cardinal, or at least battling with him for 2nd place there. And again, that's giving the GT4 leader Tyler Manning quite a lead because, as those guys fight, the gap opens up there. Although it looks like there's been a bit of an incident. Charles St. Pierre just dropped a place. Not entirely sure whether it was he involved, but there's Tyler Manning, 22nd overall, and much further in front of the others. Look at that gap that he's already got at the end of the opening lap and a half.
And of course, meatball for Charles St. Pierre, so something happened back there. And now Manning will have to deal with LMP2 traffic already. And it's not your leader. I think that's somebody who came out of the pits. But either way, we get to see our first taste of GT4 and LMP2, and that's how you should do it. We'll take a look at the start here as Nate Orlowski with a little bit of an issue coming off of the grid, I do believe. Of course, starting here at turn 10, it's going to make things just a little bit difficult. And not sure what happened. Might be off the start here.
Oh,
it's a spin.
Out of the chicane. I mentioned the short formation lap. Not a formation lap, indeed, just a chicane, and indeed a spin out of that final turn. That's not the way to start the season. Andrew Cooper was the one who went off for a big spin down at turn number 1. And Charles St. Pierre went off down here as well, I believe also at turn 1. This is on lap 2, by the way, the start of lap 2, as they were probably getting up to speed here. Carl Schutz, who also found himself back in the GT pack, and this is why sliding and spinning through turn 5, and he'll have to wait a very, very long time to get back going. Look at the car streaming past on lap number 1 because they're so close together. Elliot Whitfield also having a difficult start to this race over the top of the hill here. It's all about getting yourself up to speed, and because we didn't have a formation lap, these cars are all on very cold tyres to begin with.
They are and should be up to temperature right now, but either way, it's kind of tough to go from turn 10 all the way to the start. Battle for 4th heats up between Tanner Macers and Gene Kelly, 343 over 41 through turn number 1, and I'm not surprised that we didn't see that much of an issue there with so many other cars with cold tires. Oh, I'll tell you what, Masters doing all he can. He's going to drop a couple of wheels off. Kelly's going to go side by side through turn 3 and get that position. So, you see, you drop a couple of wheels off here in this Georgia Clay, you, and you're going to lose a lot of positions, and it looks like Beige might be coming up on Mazer soon.
Yeah, so that is Zachary Beige next in line. Again, these guys not in the same class as it were drivers-wise, but since they're both LMP2s, they will absolutely fight it out here, I would imagine, in this race. It's the front of the 992.2 category, and Skylar Vicroy is currently leading the way in front of Willie Brennan. These guys are of the same quality as those at the front, but they are obviously driving slower machines, much slower machines. And Skylar Vicroy currently leads the field, but amazed by the way these guys are able to keep speed with the GT3s, because these 992s are so fast these days, even, well, I guess especially with this new update that iRacing brought in over Christmas, I believe it was, and they are so fast now compared to these GT3s. That Mustang in the background is Jason McSparron, who's the leader of the GT3s at the moment, and is currently, embedded within the 992 category and would be third. Indeed, is under a bit of pressure here from the third place 992. That's Wallace, who heads down the inside, and this is where it gets awkward, because when the pace difference is not too high, it's difficult to make the pass, and the side-by-side makes things all a bit slower.
And that's given Schuring a chance to enter in the conversation for third. I thought I saw a little bit of rub as they're now rubbing on each other, had to door it down towards turn 1. So Schuring going to try and poke a nose in there, not going to make it happen. But look at that. They make their way through turn 1 with no problem. That's also going to give Salata a chance to close in. So you got three-way battle for third and 992.2. And the point I was trying to make, you take a look at their lap times. They're really similar. I know last time by Vicroy and Brennan running like high 19s, low 19s, high 20s as they're running the lap, and it all comes down to the aerodynamics. We mentioned, there's only like 3 straightaways here, but still it's enough for that 992 to really shine.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and that's where it certainly does with the straight line speed out of the all-important turn 7. And onto the back straight here. So how are they going to deal with this now as Ty Schuring has gotten through? Wallace will want to get back through, but they'll both be closing on the Mustang here, and the slipstream means that they're probably faster in a straight line and indeed might be able to make a lunge on the brakes here. They feel, indeed, here they come, nearly 3 wide. Wallace going to have a look at both of them there. Ty Schuring down the inside though, and that's how to do it. Almost showing Wallace how it's done there, because last time Wallace was a bit tentative, was side by side for a long time at that Mustang, and in the end Schuring just says, well, jam it down the inside and you'll be on your way, and he is now on his way. You'd imagine going to be driving away from Wallace. Now, is he going to be more confident in turn 1? We'll find out as the leaders are in traffic for the first time. A lot to watch at the moment, as at the front of the field this battle for 4th place continues. This Masters versus Gene Kelly, who just gets in front. Then Louis Rios next in line as well. But this is the first taste of traffic, really, this season properly.
And this is where sports car racing gets oh so fun, because you can see different cars slice and dice with one another and mix in their own battles, as Kelly's going to look to the inside there once again. Master's going to think better of it, heading down into turn number 10. They've got Beish not too far away behind them as well. It's just a great battle here as you're on board. Also looks like Bissett has made his way into second place, so you've got a battle for second. Could be a battle for the lead here in LMP2 Pro and overall. Your top 5 cars, though, Ewan, in LMP2 are all pros, so that's interesting to know.
Yeah, exactly. And there was quite a lot of crossover last season in terms of who was actually at the front by the end of these races, whether it was pro class or pro Ben drivers. But Matt Smotherman at the moment is dominating this race, nearly 2 seconds out in front of Justin Bassett, who's actually now passed Elias Roman for second place now through the traffic. So they're passing those GT4 drivers further back. Tyler Manning, by the way, the leader of those, as you can see on the bottom of your screen. Quite a lead as well over Mason Cardinal. But as we saw last season, just because a driver dominates 1 week does not mean it's going to be similar by 2 weeks' time. It can change very, very quickly indeed as they come into the final chicane now, and over the rise, over the start-finish line again. And we'll see what Bessett's got here for Smotherman, or whether this is going to be a run of domination at the front of the field here. Bassett just about 2.5 seconds behind. See if he can reel that in at all, as just in front of the 992s there's a spinning GT3. I think that is Elliot Whitfield again, who's having a bit of trouble here tonight in that McLaren. Still, I guess when you're struggling to get it up to temperature, the tyres, then the problems do snowball a bit.
And of course, also, you can kind of mess with the warming up of the tires. Here's Whitfield once again coming around turn number 7. And let's see, yeah, that back end just wanted to snap around once again on Whitfield. So we'll see if he can get that McLaren back up to speed, losing a couple spots overall, as Bissett and Roman still nose to tail through turn number 7. About a half second separates the two of them. And you know, that's the thing. You know, yeah, it's great to have the short pace lap because we don't have to fill much. The drivers aren't worrying about too much, but at the same time, you still have to make sure that your tires are warm, especially at Road Atlanta, where turn 1, it's a beast.
Well, absolutely. It's not a big braking zone down there at turn 1. That's where it differs from some of the other venues we're going to go to this season. I mean, COTA for our third broadcast here, round 5, should be quite an ordeal into turn 1, that's for sure. But nevertheless, this turn 1 is very, very challenging. This is Jason McSparron at the bottom of your screen, slowly getting caught by other guys in the class. Chance Sheffield, Damien Castro, Richard Davenport are all within 4 seconds now of that Mustang, and as the 992s filter through, those GT3s, those other GT3s in McSparron's class are going to be able to set their sights on him quite nicely here and potentially have a look at making a move at some point down the line. But for the moment, McSparron has been spared really by those 992s, acting as a bit of a barrier between him and the rest of this GT3 field.
That does help, and yeah, having Salata behind, kind of playing a little bit of a buffer there for position in GT3, with Chance Sheffield trying to hold off Damien Castro for second in class, 14th overall. That's got to make Jason feel really, really good, as he's been laying a little bit slower lap times than the. It's interesting because you take a look at the lap times that you know, your top 992 cars are running. They're running 19.4s, 19.3s. McSparron's running a 20.3. On paper, that should be impossible, should be the other way around, but I'll tell you what, these 992s, as we mentioned, the .2s, not only are they quick, but they are about the closest race car you have in the game to anything in real life, from what I've been told.
It's quite remarkable. And you can see the difference, by the way. The reason why the maths won't add up there is because that's the difference in overall position. And that tells you that they've been passing a lot of GT3s who, over 1 lap, were quicker than these 992 drivers. But they've been able to make passes, as we've seen for the likes of Schuring, especially, who's been making them. But clearly, John Salata has a little bit further down. He's in 5th place in the 992 category at the moment. Look at that train in the background there, as they're all getting into at the moment the leader in GT3, Jason McSparren. That is your GT4 standing at the moment. Tyler Manning dominating there in front of Mason Cott. Now, Peter Hitzman and Kyle Shelton not that far apart. They have been overtaken by traffic, of course, for the first time. Look at that in the background, though. The 992s are into the GT3/992 mess all at the same time here. That's actually Kyle Schuck who's there now, but only 8 seconds or so behind him are the overall leaders of this race. Perhaps their busiest moments in traffic coming up in the next few laps.
And again, this is going to be interesting because, as you said, a lot of these drivers, first time this season, first time they've ever had to deal with traffic of any kind of regularity in iRacing as they work their way through the back portion of the racetrack. You're still seeing the 992 slice and dice their way through the back portion of the GT4 traffic, and so far, so good. Everybody making their way around. So the calamity that we see, that we thought we'd get with lap traffic, not going to be so bad. We're going to see why Casey Sobel spent 2.5 minutes in the pit box. And turn 5, that will bite you. And sometimes you get lucky, hit the gravel trap on the right. Casey, not so much.
Yeah, ouch, I think it's the appropriate comment. It's out of turn 5. I mean, it's by far the most difficult portion of this racetrack, unfortunately. We've also seen making long repairs there. The three have been in. Andrew Cooper, Casey Sobel and Charles St. Pierre have all been into pit lane for just over 2 minutes. So that's part of the reasons down there. We will expect to see some more stops as the day goes on, as Justin Wells is in from GT4. Quite a long way back at the moment now as a result of this stop. 6th place as we go to the lead battle in the 992 class, Skylar Vickroy and Willie Brennan. Brennan going to the other side of the GT4 that's got to be looking in both mirrors, left and right. Not sure that was quite the right idea for Brennan, but you could see what he was trying to do there. Didn't want to go round the outside of the Mercedes into turn 6, so when it went to the inside instead, but ended up on such a tight line. I think Skylar Vickroy's probably won a bit out of that.
It looks like Dustin Wells, our first driver to take the ancillary pit stop, 6.1 seconds in and out for the GT4 drivers. We'll see what happens for the rest of these cars. So now we get a kind of a insight onto how long these cars will be in the pits, how long they'll be at pit road. So we have that delta. That's the good news. And of course, that delta is going to change all throughout the season, depending on what track we go, because some pit roads longer than others. See Road America. But still, Skylar Vickroy has led the 992 class for most of the race, actually all the race. So trying to hold on to Willie Brennan. Will they pit together? Will they pit separate? Time will only tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And there may be a while to wait too, depending on when they decide to stop. Scott Andrews into turn 1 has had a dicey moment here, and that's contact with another 992 car. And that's the 26, for which we don't have a second name at the moment. Doesn't look like. Nicholas Salaputis is what I've got on my timing screen. I think that's just on the graphic, but that was contact down towards... Oh, 4 wide! Oh my goodness me! Battle for second overall between Bessett and Roman goes 4 wide out of turn 5. Well, you can go seasons upon seasons without seeing something like that. We've seen it in the first 15 minutes of this season. That was quite an extraordinary moment, and they all get out the other side.
That's heart in your throat moments right there, and all 4 of those drivers making it happen quite nicely. Roman still, though, not able to capitalize. He's still close enough within that slipstream to try and keep the draft. Let's see how this all plays out. And yeah, you see the 2 GT3 cars. They just left just enough room. And I think that was Bessett who was 4 wheels off in the grass. And how did he save it?
He kept going at quite a speed for someone who was down in the grass. I can't tell. Was it Bessett or was it Roman? I think it was Bessett, wasn't it?
Might have been Roman, actually, now that I'm thinking of it.
Well, we'll have a look at their liveries again as we see them again here. Also closing for the lead right now as well here is Bessett, only a second behind Smotherman, and Roman is very close behind Bessett too. So it's all getting rather close at the front of the field, but Brennan now leads in the 992 category, and Kyle Schuck is the one you can see coming through here. In the background, that's Smotherman there, then it's Bessett, then Roman. So 3 of them for the lead here, only separated by 2 seconds here. in the LMP2 class. They try and come through on the 992s for the first time. They're ducking left and right. This is the obvious speed difference, I think. LMP2 to any of the other categories, an obvious speed difference. The other GTs, there's less in it, I think, but good run through traffic for these two. They're reeling in the race leader.
Yeah, I think Bassett and Roman are really capitalizing on when to pounce on this traffic. Smotherman having some issues on trying to figure out where he wants to make the pass. As see him go diving down there on the inside in turn number 1. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised a couple of these guys aren't just coming into the pits, as one of the 992 sides think better of it. But either way, I'm surprised some of these guys aren't coming to the pits to kind of get out of traffic and get that pit stop done out of the way. However, we've got 27 minutes left to go in this race, so it's still a little too early, but either way, this is a very interesting battle here.
Well, they're either deciding it's too early or that it would make very little difference, because the track's so short that they'll be thinking, well, I could lose a whole lap stopping. You're not quite going to, but, I don't feel like the traffic you come out in is going to be that different, I think will be the thought process. Even, 30-odd cars around here. We've still got 31 running in this race. Still quite busy for this racetrack, so they've either decided it's too early or indeed it's going to make very little difference to how much traffic they're actually having to deal with at the moment, and we can only know that after the race, I suppose. This is Smotherman again coming into the final chicane, and suddenly in that last little bit of traffic has put in a lot of time to the others in this field. Last time round, before this lap, he lost 1.5 seconds with a 16.6. That's nearly 4 seconds slower than his previous best lap time. That was fast enough to be the best lap time of his race, but I'm presuming he went off the road at some point because it hasn't counted. The others, 3 seconds and 4 seconds respectively for Roman and Bassett off of Smotherman. That is an obvious difference, but just shows you the swings and roundabouts of traffic more than anything else.
And I was looking at difference in time between GT4 and LMP2. By the way, Nate Orlowski with a mechanical black flag. So Tyler Manning, fastest lap of the race for him, 25.7. 12.5 for Smotherman. So that's about a 25-second gap. Any other series that would be frowned upon, but because of the talent here in Operation eMotorsport League, it can be handled, and I'm really impressed with how the GT4 drivers are handling the LMP2 traffic when they come onto them, as Wallace and Schuring once again locked in battle coming off of turn number 7 down that long back straightaway. But either way, you got to commend both the LMP2 drivers and the GT4 drivers for making this oh so clean, because it is a tight course.
Well, by the way, Wallace indeed having gotten through back into third again on Schuring. There's just so much to have a look at the moment in all the classes, actually. Coming up to halfway in this race, and I don't want to make sort of judgments on what the whole season is going to be like, having seen 20 minutes, of course, but I'm going to. I was a little bit worried, I've got to say, at the start, that there'd be so many different classes, the action would be split so much across the different field that it would be difficult to follow. But actually, it's been very watchable so far, hasn't it? Battles for top positions in pretty much all of the classes. A lot of traffic to keep us interested as well. This has been very energetic, these first 20 minutes.
No, it really has. And, I was worried that it would be a little bit of a calamity with, the differences in speed and with how Road Atlanta typically has that reputation with mixed class racing. But everybody's been on their behavior for the past 20 minutes, and I'm enjoying this. These past 20 minutes have flown by. You see a battle for a position there in LMP2 coming up on this 992 battle, as Wallace has extended his lead over Schuring for third. And yeah, this has just been absolutely great. Anywhere you look, you've got a battle, and somebody's got someone to race with, which is what you need to ask for in some of these leagues.
Yeah, exactly. Bit of good fortune there for Wallace, as Schuring got caught behind a GT4. That battle, by the way, going through is Beige versus Rios at 4th place in LMP2. Rios looking down the inside there. He's not going to get it on the way through this time. Worth remembering that Louis Rios is a returning season champion in the beneficiary class, now in the pro beneficiary class in LMP2, a United States Marine veteran, and good to have him back for season 12 again. Always used to come to chat to us after the race, so we'll see if he continues to do that this season as he comes into the pit lane indeed now as well. This is a little bit further down for Nicholas Salapoutis in 19th position. No stops so far made by the Pro Class 992 driver. Still waiting for pit stops actually from most of the field. We've seen Richard Davenport and Damien Castro both in GT3. Justin Wells, as we've commented earlier, has already made a GT4 regular stop. Gene Kelly and Tanner Masters also in the LMP2 category. But this pit stop window is going to be quite spread apart because we are seconds away from half distance and we're yet to see most of the field come down.
We see Scott Andrews, the first of the 992s, coming into the pits as he's going to come from 8th in class. Seeing a replay of Richard Davenport through turn 5, and that back end just wanting to snap around. And you're going to see that, especially through here. Turn 5, one of the more treacherous, as Salapudis with a spin in turn 6. Well, back underway, so quick spin and go. A little bit of slight contact with the driver's right wall as Salapudis backs up, waits for traffic, and you just hate to see it, especially because it's a blind corner. It's hard to see when cars are coming around.
Yeah, hard to get back going again when they're rushing on like that. Well, this is the battle for second. Closed again between Elias Roman and Justin Bassett at the front of the field. Battle for second position between these two pro drivers, as behind them it's a spin out of turn 7 rather. For the can't quite identify the driver at the moment, but straight out of the most important corner on this racetrack, spinning around, coming onto the straight. It's Casey Sobel here in a GT3, sorry, not a 992. Looking in the wrong place. And as I've mentioned, it's so important to get it right at this circuit, so you can absolutely understand why. Well, that's not the first time indeed we've seen guys pushing as hard as possible to go as fast as possible out of that corner, but unfortunately when you're trying as hard as possible, sometimes you can just go over that edge, even in the GT3 with traction control.
And of course it's also kind of hard sometimes to see the 992s and the GT3s from a distance, so you know, but either way, Sobel not having a good evening, hoping to make it a little bit better. He's got 20 minutes to do it, so no surprise there. As you're seeing Bassett trying to close in on Roman, this battle really heating up as Wallace comes into the pits for his compulsory pit stop down in turn 6. I'll tell you what, Bassett really looking every which way that he can to try and see if he can get back ahead of Roman. And John Hicks, what happened here in turn 1? Just a little bit of off. Yep, that's going to happen there if you carry too much speed. And he makes his way a little bit agricultural, probably saw a couple of cracks he didn't like and decided to slip them off for the fine people at Road Atlanta. And does he have the same problem here through turn 3? No.
I think he got a bit of tunnel vision there, really, following somebody in LMP2 as GT4 goes off there, and Roman goes off one way to avoid and Bassett goes the other. So they both go slowly out of the final chicane, and therefore neither of them really lose out there. Although to Smotherman, to be fair, who now leads by more than 8 seconds at the front of the field. But yeah, that's quite a gap now, and it's been increased by that little moment through that chicane. But yeah, you can very much, especially through turn 1 actually, if you're following an LMP2, you're in a GT car, you can very much get tunnel vision. It's something surprisingly easy to do. You've got to train yourself out of it. Be surprised how often when you're racing, you are just, when you're in a pack like that, you're just following the driver in front of you rather than actually driving yourself. But see, if the driver in front of you has a lot more grip, you've got to recalibrate yourself, and it's surprisingly hard to do that as Scarlett Vicroy comes in from the LMP2 lead, I believe it was, and we'll drop down there for over the next few moments. Here comes Jason McSparron as well. So the GT3 and beneficiary class leader Jason McSparron is into pit lane and ready to make the one and only pit stop in the race, or at least it should be, with 19 minutes to go.
And Willie Brennan with the lead in the 992 class in the pros is what happened here? Charles St. Pierre, John Hicks, a black flag. That was St. Pierre, okay, who went off, and talk about a nice defensive move there with both Roman and Bassett just splitting the difference. That could have ended really nasty, but either way, everybody got to give them a pat on the back for making sure that everybody was ending up straight in that race.
Yeah, they just about manage it through that chicane. As Tyler Manning gets passed by those two now. I think that was actually those two coming through there, and maybe a run indeed for Bassett, was it? Yet it was. Oh, and down the inside for turn 6, bit of contact as Elias Roman tried to turn in. Bassett wasn't quite as pinned to the inside as he was expecting him to be, and he just had to have 2 goes at that as he got it into the turn, but Beckett goes through into second position, into the slipstream now of that BMW just up in front, and Beckett is going to keep that second position nicely here. Faster the lights. Roman wants to follow through on that GT3 and will do on the brakes as well. Aggression through traffic. This could be a fascinating battle in the final 15 minutes, and they haven't stopped yet, don't forget. They are still carrying on, these LMP2s.
I think at this point, Beckett and Roman might be pitting together, because that's how they've been this whole race, and it's just going to come down to who will get the better pit stop, or will one pit and the other decide to make it his flyer as they work their way around 992 traffic. Oh, what a great pick that Beckett used over Wallace, and now Roman able to get around Wallace and close in as more GT4 traffic really hampering things here in this battle. And like I said, my guess at this point, I think either Beckett or Roman might come into the pits this time, because now they're really getting in the heat of battle with 17 minutes left to go.
Indeed. Nick Orlovsky, unfortunately, getting a meatball here. And that is a shame. That's going to now cost quite a lot of time. I think there might have been others involved in that incident. We'll try and get a replay queued in a second. Willie Brennan into the pit lane meantime. Scott Andrews as well. You see how many drivers there are on pit lane there. I reckon there's been a multi-car incident. Brennan just getting that little bit of damage repaired. Of course, the stop actually being made as well as scheduled, and back out again in 992. Brennan is going to be close to Vickroy, in front of Skyler Vickroy, whose stop, by the way, was 13 seconds. The gap is 10 seconds between them. Brennan's stop was 10 seconds shorter. You do the maths. The pit stop difference has been made in the last few moments.
Of course, Andrews on his second pit stop, so yeah, Andrews must have been involved in that incident with the black flag. Here's Elliott Whitfield, who is another driver who's kind of wishing that this race would be over. Oh, just a little bit of a tap. They go right towards that wall, and oh, the attenuator.
That's painful. And yeah, you can see a Cayman there, slow too. Now, I wonder who that might have been down towards the back end of the field. Not sure. That might have been Orlovsky, actually, who was in the Cayman. But yeah, unfortunately, a lot of damage done there. Elliott Whitefield has gotten back onto the racetrack, thankfully. Tice Schuring, meantime, into the pit lane, and Tanner Masters is as well, both Pro Ben drivers. And there goes Schuring, pulling into his box, just clearing the way for the LMP2 to see where it's going in. Unfortunately, Tanner Masters has already been in once, so this has got to be an unscheduled pit stop, or at least, or indeed the first one was. But this is costing quite a bit of time now as they both come down pit lane again. Still waiting for the top three to make their pit stop in this race, and we haven't yet seen Dave Bell of the GT3s come in yet. John Hicks has gone the wrong way, indeed. Oh no, and he's hit the wall as well, trying to recover. That's the alternate layout at Road Atlanta, where you turn right instead of going through turn 5. You can rejoin on the back straight and take a shortened version of Road Atlanta. It's quite an exciting fast corner, actually, but that's not the way we're running here, and I'm not entirely sure what motivated John Hicks to do that. He kind of got lost.
Yeah, GPS probably said turn right. Oh, nope, don't want to do that. But, you know, Atlanta traffic, come on. It just happens. As Beckett and Roman closing in on GT3 traffic once again, and a little bit of 992 traffic mixed in as well. This going to be interesting to see when they're going to pit, because we're closing in on the answer to make the call for your brief pit stop. Of course, they can pit at any time, and I think nope, they're not going to pit this time by. That's one thing I hate about turn 11. You know, it kind of jukes you out.
To rather fool you into thinking that they're coming in, or when they're not, or indeed they are when they, you know what I mean. It's quite deceptive through there, and quite easy to crash down there as well, as we know. 12 seconds now to gap nearly to Matt Smotherman, who is leading this LMP2 field right now. Justin Beckett and Elias Roman, second and third in the race, and up over the top of the hill there through turn 5. They continue on. This has been perhaps the battle of the race, really. They've both been exciting to watch. They've both been running very, very close to one another throughout the race. Oh, and a McLaren spun out of the 7th turn there, right in front of these guys, but thankfully getting back going again before these guys got on the scene, or at least not on the racing line. They didn't find him, which is good. And now down the hill, they will get this GT4 in before the chicane. Meantime, we see Damian Castro on the beneficiaries, spinning and actually hitting the wall there as well. That's why you see the other guys sort of letting off there before they fully spin or whatever, because they don't want to keep accelerating and end up in the wall.
No, and man, I'll tell you what, that could have been an unsafe rejoin out of Castro, but able to save both of their races, as you see Roman and Besic. It's going to run the tanks dry before they have to come in, so it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes for them to come in, or if they're just going to set flyers and see if they can race with Smotherman here in the tail end. There's about 4, let's take a look at time here real quick, 5, 6 drivers who have not entered pit road, so that's quite interesting. Of course, it also belongs to your class leaders in GT3 and GT4 as well. This battle for 5th in 992 is heating up as well between Salata and Glandon. They're also pro-bens.
Yeah, they've got to remember the different classes involved here. Even within the car classes, the drivers may be a little bit different, so to try and keep across everything ongoing. Wallace and Schering are also battling away right now. McSparren and Dave Bell not too far away for the class lead in GT3 now either, although Bell's just been overtaken by one of the 992s there. In fact, both of them, Schering and Wallace, both get through, and so McSparren gets a bit of a gap, but Dave Bell hasn't been into pit lane yet, so maybe that is a slightly false battle anyway. But either way, we're getting towards that stage now where nearly everybody's made their stop. There's only just over 10 minutes remaining. Some of these guys leaving it very, very late to come in, but I'll only be in there very briefly when they do, because that's been the trend of this race actually. The guys who've come in and have been successful have actually come in for as little time as possible, as Dave Bell now does come in to do that.
And that's half the battle there. You want to go out as long as you can, so you spend less amount of time in pit road. A good pit lane delta, including a stop. It looks like it could be anywhere from 30 to about 36 seconds from end to end. So we'll see how that works out, especially for your top 3, with just about 10.5 minutes left to go in this race. GT3, GT4, 992. They've kind of stretched themselves out a little bit, with the exception still being that battle for 3rd in the 992 with Schering and Wallace. And here comes your leader.
So it's been a long time coming, but the leader is in, Matt Smotherman. We'll see whether the others follow. No, Elias Roman is going to carry on. Justin Bessett does too. So those two will become 1 and 2 now as we go back to the 992s. Close battle, John Salada and Chris Glandon here, as well as Ty Schering and Martin Wallace. As now the GT3 slowing down, some of them anyway. And some 992s coming through here as well. So it's all very busy. That just in front, by the way, is Jason McSparren, who's the GT3 leader. And still, I mentioned this phenomenon at the start of the race, still this is not really ended, where the GT3s are just running really, really close with the 992s on speed. This is an overall position they'd be fighting for here if they could get to McSparren. Fortunately for the GT3 leader, he's just about quick enough to avoid those two for now.
You know how strong the Mustang is here in the service, and it's pretty neat to see, Brennan and Vic Roy leading McSparren and the GT3s and the 992.2s all mixed into one another. But either way, it's been a kind of interesting case study to see how this is going to work. I wasn't sure if we'd see a big bunch or things spread out, but it's no different than IMSA with the GTD and the GTD Pro. It's just a different type of car. You're not going to see the wheel arches bowed out on the 992s like you will in the GT3. So that's interesting to note. Tyler Manning, your GT4 leader, is into the pits. So Cardinal will take that GT4 lead, but still, Roman and Bissett yet to answer the call to pit.
Yeah, indeed. Masson Cardinal. Will he pit? Yeah, he will go on. So, yeah, we'll see Tyler Manning come in and out very quickly. It was a good season last time around for Tyler Manning. Had some good race results, and so we'd expect him to be up towards front in the championship this season as well. We have it in GT4 though. We've seen his pit stops as short as 6 seconds for Justin Wells, so if Cardno can do that, then maybe we've got a race on in GT4, but we've got to wait for him to stop yet in the next 8 minutes. In the meantime, the battle between Schuring and Wallace is close, and Salada and Glandon as well in the 992s. They're not far behind them, indeed. It's Dave Bell and Richard Davenport in the GT3s, so there's a lot happening at the moment in this field, but these two have been inseparable so far, and it's going to feel a little bit cruel to put one of them off the podium, but that's what's going to happen here. Here's that other battle, by the way, I was talking about between Salada and Glandon. So these are two pro beneficiary class drivers who are fighting it out at the moment for 4th and 5th in 992. They're battling for 2nd and 3rd in 992 Pro Ben. So where you cut it, there's positions and points to be fought over here. We'll see whether they actually do here. 7 minutes to go here in this opening race of the season.
And of course, Bissett into the pits. He's on his marks. And that puts Smotherman into second place. But yeah, this is just such a good race here for the 992.2 third place. And it's going to be a shame that one of these drivers is going to have to be off the podium. And here's what's interesting too, if the darker we get, the more the track's going to cool. So it's going to make some of these setups just a little bit difficult. By the way, Justin Bissett in and out 9.95 seconds.
Okay, so Smotherman back in front of Bissett by about 12 seconds there, despite Bessett's 4 seconds shorter stop. Now into turn 5 again for Wallace and Schuring. The battle of the race, you'd say, as Ellis Roman comes into the pit lane. Now for this, well, the pit stop would have to be negative seconds for him to get ahead of Matt Smotherman, so I'm not sure this is going to happen. I don't think he can even drive through, actually, and stay in front of the surely now favourite to go on and win this race, but Roman's coming in anyway and ready to take on that little bit of service before the end of the race. Comes to a stop. Shouldn't be too long in there. Here comes Smotherman. Actually, it's a bit closer than I thought, but Bessett will be the target here. 7 seconds, not that far behind Smotherman at all. He's out of the pit lane now, but comfortably in front of Bessett, and that's what the worry would have been about for Ellis Roman. That gap is large, 2.5 seconds or so, but I think Bessett's made a mistake somewhere because the gap is over 7.
Yeah, looking at the lap time, we'll see how it is coming out. 42.1. So yeah, Bessett on his outlap most likely had some sort of issue as Casey Sobel comes out of the pits. Sobel just having a night to forget. Most likely had just another incident as he spent a minute 8 into the pits with just a handful of laps left to go. This battle for 4th still heating up. Battle for 4th. Battle for 4th right now in the 992s. Between Wallace and Salada.
No, it's 3rd place. Wallace is with
3rd place, I was going to say.
Schuring, yeah. We've set ourselves one too far down there, but John Salada's gap there is the gap to the next car in his race, but that won't be Wallace by looks. Oh dear!
Ooh.
And is that the leader? Is that the leader? It is the leader,
yep.
Jason McSparron in the GT3 class. Now he's got nearly 20 seconds up to Sheffield to actually get back on the road again, but nevertheless, the leader through turn 6 with less than 5 minutes to go. We've got drama at the end of the first race of the season here at Road Atlanta. Jason McSparron loses more than half of his lead, and indeed loses overall places to these two. But I think he's going to get away with it. And there he is. Doesn't seem to have a scratch on that Mustang, but definitely went for a spin through turn 6.
And having a spin there is a lot easier than you think. Here comes Sobel down turn 10. Let's see if he makes contact. Yeah, he's going to have some contact there with, I believe it's going to be a 992 down into the gravel trap. Thankfully, it was only a quick repair, to say the least. Per se, it wasn't fast repair, but either way, McSparron and just can't catch you too much speed, and that'll cut you out each and every time. Thankfully, like we said, had that big gap. He's only now 14 seconds ahead of Sheffield, but there's no 992s to buffer him. Elliott Whitfield, another driver who wishes he could forget tonight. Oh God, you gotta feel for him because that McLaren looks absolutely spectacular. Let's see what happens with Davenport, who was involved in that, has that LMP2 behind him.
He was the one who tipped Whitfield around, so he gets away from the scene of the crime, as it were, 3 seconds behind Dave Bell, so that's actually a change there. But nevertheless, Davenport, the guilty party in that one, you would say. Bit of a late move over the top of the hill there through turn 3. Matt Smotherman is continuing to lead here, and I think he's just seen 3 laps to go on the start-finish line that time. He is losing time to Roman. 3 attempts last time, but more in previous laps, and over 6 seconds in the pit lane. So the gap suddenly is 3 seconds, less than. That's not hit Roman. It's the second of those LMP2s in the background there. You can see the 99. I'm not sure 3 seconds with only 3 laps to go is small enough a gap for Roman to actually cross here, but he is putting that pressure on. Just that little bit of doubt in the last few moments of this race.
Well, there has to be a huge clag of traffic, and I don't think that it's going to be there. And Schuring trying to stay on that third step of the podium to start off this season, as Bob Wallace making him honest through the S's, the 666. You're seeing out the front windshield of this battle for third place. Both of those drivers taking it 10 tenths all the way around.
Ryan Baldwin Wallace continuing at the bottom of the screen is over the line. It will indeed be 2 laps to go for Matt Smubman, who is indeed 3.5 seconds in front of Elias Roman at the front of this field. Wallace is much closer to making his move, I've got to say, on Schuring for third place. Is he willing to make a late dive on the bottom of your screen here in towards the final chicane? Is that going to have to wait for later? These guys are going to see 2 laps to go when they get to the line as well here, so surely this pressure is going to tell at some point. These two are going to want to finish ahead of the other so badly because they've been running together for 45 minutes now.
So we'll see what happens here when they hear it's going to be white flag in just a little bit, as looks like that Wallace has fallen off just a little bit because of the GT4 traffic. But either way, what a fantastic race for all of these drivers, as we survived 45 minutes with just a little argy-bargy here. But either way, Ewan, this has been a fantastic start to the sprint coverage that we have here on RaceSpot TV. We saw great battles all throughout, and still with 1 lap to go, I think we're going to see some fantastic racing here at the end.
Yeah, Wallace versus Schuring is going to be one to watch at the end here, but unfortunately the battle for the lead is not quite going to materialise towards the finish here. Elias Roman running out of laps rather to get up to Matt Smubman, who's controlled this race and probably deserved to win it as well in LMP2. Roman will get past that little bit of an LMP2 traffic there, some of which has been lapped so far in this race. We'll be patient through the S's, who wait behind the McLaren. We'll try and catch all of the class leaders over the line, but it's all going to be happening at once here in a moment. But kicking it all off is going to be Matt Smubman. As I mentioned, controlling this race from the front, really. He is in the end going to get home with the fastest lap and the pole position and the race win, but he's only got the fastest lap by 0.06 of a second. He's come under pressure at various times for this race lead. First time through traffic was certainly a tight moment for him. And late on in this race as well, as he lost 6 seconds through the pit stop to Roman. He was tense for a second, I would imagine. Well, maybe not. He is on no nerves racing after all. But he comes through the final corner and he's going to take the win in Road Atlanta. The opening round of the Operation Motorsport eMotorsport iRacing League is going to be won by Matt Smubman in the LMP2s. A great performance from the LMP2 driver to take home that victory comfortably in front of Elias Roman in the end. Willie Brennan is going to go on and win in 992. This is GT4 though, as Tyler Manning comes over the line with 10 seconds to spare. This has been the most dominant performance of the race to my mind. An absolute exhibition of speed, but also through the pit strategy, he was able to keep his lead very, very large for a very long time there, Tyler Manning. Willie Brennan is going to be over the line next in 992.2. He's also a pro class driver, by the way. He comes around the final corner and he wins comfortably too, although it was close early on with Skyler Vickery. He gained 10 seconds in the pit stop, and indeed the gap at the line is about 11.5, so you do the maths. It could have been a much closer race. And indeed in GT3, Jason McSparren is going to be credited with a lap extra compared to the rest of the field. That's just because of the way that the traffic has worked. But despite a moment late on here for McSparren, he is going to go on to take the race victory. In the close battles, Schuring got home in front of Wallace, and Glandon had trouble on the last lap there. John Salada therefore getting 5th place in the 992 category. So many battles to watch throughout that race, Jeremy, and some great finishes in there as well.
And really no surprise, Ewan, because Road Atlanta is one of the premier road courses here in North America. And that's why it holds Petit Le Mans, because everybody can find somebody to race with, but an absolute banger to start the season.
Absolutely. It is Matt Smubman who wins, though. 6 seconds in front of Elias Roman. with Justin Bessett in third position, Zachary Bache fourth. And then in LMP2, Pro Ben winner Louis Rios just with inside a minute of Max Mumman. Tanner Masters just in behind him. Gene Kelly and Carl Schuck got a lap at some point throughout that, and Trevor H, unfortunately, very early on, maybe even didn't take the start of that race, unfortunately, down in 9th position. In 992.2, it's Willie Brennan who finishes 11.5 seconds in front of Scarlett Vickery. Ty Shearing holds on from Wallace in the end in that great battle we saw between the two. John Salado and Chris Glandon 5th and 6th in their battle. Nicholas Sadapuchis was 7th. Scott Andrews finished 4 laps down in the end in 992.2. In GT3, these beneficiary class drivers, Jason McSparron took the victory in front of Chance Sheffield. Dave Bell rounding off the podium. Richard Davenport and Damien Castro got in within a reasonable time. Unfortunately, difficult races for Casey Sobel, John Hicks and Elliot Whitfield. And rounding off the GT4 results, it's Tyler Manning who wins by 10 seconds in front of Mason Cardinell. Carl Shelton rounds off the podium there with Peter Hitzerman and Justin Wells rounding off the top 5. Nate Orlovsky 2 laps down in the end. Charles St. Pierre 6 down. We saw many incidents throughout the day. Andrew Cooper and Rui Farina Pereira rounding off the field with early retirements for them. Let's have a chat then, shall we, to some of the drivers just quickly. Got to remember how to move people properly here. Which is good, but trying to get the race winner, Matt Smudman, in first of all. Matt, welcome in. Congratulations on race victory here in LMP2 tonight overall. First of all, tell us how it feels to get the first race win in the bag here in the first round of the season.
Well, thank you very much. No, it feels really good, actually. 1, I love the track. 2, I love the car. And 3, I love racing with these guys. So it was good to be able to kind of shake off some of the dust and a little bit of the rust and get out there and race with them, so it feels really good.
There were stages in that race, though, where you were coming under pressure. I noted through the first part, through traffic especially, the 2 chasers behind you, Roman and Bessett, got quite close, and also late on, Roman came out the pit lane quite close to you. I know you're on no nerves racing, so that's not going to be your answer, but what was the feeling as they got relatively close at times there?
I would say confusion. I was like, what did I do? And at the first part of it, I knew exactly what I did. It was traffic, and I managed some of that a little bit poorly, and thankfully just didn't get into a crash and collect a bunch of other cars. But on the second bit of it, coming out of the pit, something happened with the pit. I think I took more fuel, or they saved some fuel, something like that. But it kept me honest, and I appreciated that.
Well, congratulations on winning the first round of the season here tonight. Thanks very much for coming to have a chat with us, and hopefully we'll see you again in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. That is Matt Smumman finishing in first here in the first race of the day. There's a lot of people waiting for us down in the interview room. So we're going to get to some of the beneficiary class drivers in GT3 and see if they are willing to join us. Jason McSparron is there, but he is at the moment not. He is deafened, so that could be a little bit difficult to chat to the GT3 class winner. He's not going to hear us from there, but I was hoping by moving him he would realise I'm trying to chat to him, but it doesn't look particularly likely we're going to catch him tonight. All right, we'll just leave him there for a second. Also in the GT3 class tonight, finishing up towards the front, the likes of Chance Sheffield is down there in the interview room as well, so we'll move him in here instead. Chance, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Thanks very much for coming to have a chat with us. First of all, congrats on getting into second place here tonight in the first race of the season in the GT3s, of course. Tell us a little bit about how your race was there.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. It started off, we were in the middle of some peak-ups and stuff, and yeah, it went pretty good. Car felt good tonight, and went pretty good.
And now, of course, we're trying to get to know a little bit everybody as well at the start of a new season. Not everybody was here last season, and nonetheless, we're trying to get to know everybody as well. So, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Opmo and how you got involved in this series here tonight and for this new season as well.
Yeah, so I actually did for another organization called Track Heroes. I did a driving event for them, and this organization was recommended to me. I'm also on the emerging side too. I'm working with a MX5 team called BSI. So yeah, this has been an awesome group. Been great. Everyone's been great welcoming into this organization. I'd highly recommend it to any veterans out there.
Well, absolutely. Well, congratulations on finishing second in the first race here this season tonight, Chance. And thanks very much for coming to have a chat with us at the end of the race as well.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. That is Chance Sheffield finishing in second in GT3. While we were doing that, I've managed to sort things out, I think, with Jason, who can now chat to us. Jason, welcome in. Can you hear us, first of all?
Yep, I can. Sorry, I had everything muted. I didn't realize I got moved.
Excellent. Sorry, no, it's all right. That's fine. But welcome in, and congratulations on winning the first race of the season in GT3. I want to go back to that moment, though, that you may want to forget, that in the last 5 minutes that made us all a bit nervous, spinning through turn 6 there with only a few laps to go. Just tell us what was going through your mind at that point as you were seeing cars fly past you, and luckily no one in your class.
Yeah, I was just hoping when I rejoined, I was watching the relative, so I didn't hit anybody, because it was kind of hard to see out of the right side windshield, so I was just glad that I let everybody go by.
And obviously, as I just said to Chance, we're trying to get to know everybody a little bit through this first round of the season. So tell us your story about how you got involved with Opmo and to the start line for tonight's new season.
Oh, I'd gotten involved with Opmo a while back and kind of took some time away from the sim, and I'm just getting back into it, and saw that the new season was starting and thought I'd jump in, and for only having my sim up and going for a couple days, I don't think tonight turned out too bad.
No, indeed, it certainly didn't. Jason, congratulations on winning in the GT3 class overall tonight, and thanks for having a chat to us at the end of the race as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the broadcast, fellas.
Thanks very much. That is Jason McSparron, who finishes in first in the GT3s. Trying to select a few more podium drivers before we head off tonight. Dave Bell finished on the podium in the GT3s too. Dave, welcome in. Congratulations on a top 3 finish here tonight in the GT3s. Tell us a little bit about your race there. You popped up very near the front as you hadn't made your pit stop yet, admittedly, but you found the front near the end there, and ended up on third place in the GT3 class. Tell us how that race was for you out there.
Oh, it was a great race. I'll definitely take a P3 any day of the week. It was a lot of good racing, a lot of guys really holding their lines, and no one was making any errors. It just happened that I had just a little bit more fuel and didn't have to pit stop quite as early as the other two did. I was hoping it would hold me through the end of the race, but like I said, I'll take a P3 any day of the week.
Absolutely. How did you get involved with Operation Motorsport and has, of course, led you here to the start line of Season 12 tonight?
So after I got out of the military, I was really in a kind of a bad place. I was really depressed. My wife says that I hid under a rock and wouldn't come out unless someone drugged me out. And I started doing some sim racing online, and I found Operation Motorsport through a league that I was in. I was wanting to find some other veterans to race with, and it just kind of fell into place. I fooled them long enough for them to let me come play, and now they're stuck with me.
It's great to have you here. Great to have you here for the new season as well, Dave. Congrats on a third place finish here tonight from Road Atlanta, and thanks so much for coming to have a chat with us after the race too.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. That is Dave Bell, third place in the GT3 category tonight. Also want to have a chat to some of the others who were up towards the front here tonight. Elias Roman, I just noticed there, was in second place overall and has joined us as well. Just quickly, Elias, welcome in. Congratulations on finishing second place overall tonight. Not that far from the lead at certain points, but how pleased are you to get out of here with second place after this first round of the season?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, considering the time change kind of last minute and everything, qualifying was essentially my warm-up. So honestly, my hope was just podium. and to get second, it's a really good result. I had really good battles with Justin. I hope that you guys were entertained, at least with battling back and forth. But yeah, second place is a good result. It's a good start to the season.
We certainly were entertained as well. So do you expect to sort of be in this region or maybe even higher, challenging for race victories over the course of this season then, with the obviously maybe limited preparation for tonight?
If we push the start time back an hour and I get ample warm-up, there might be a chance. But I have to admit, like, Matt is very, very fast, and even without the challenges and traffic, I don't think I have him on raw pace. I might have to play a little bit of strategy and just some timing on certain things to maybe have a shot at wins. But I mean, it's early in the season, and to be honest, this is like the first time I've driven an LMP2 in anger, so like I'm still learning race by race in this car.
Well, congratulations on getting to second place here tonight, and thanks very much for coming to have a chat with us here at the end of the race as well.
Thank you guys, and have a great night.
Thanks very much. That is Alex Roman, who finishes in second place overall. I want to chat to two more before we go. Obviously, other class winners here in this field. We've already gone through a few of them. Willie Brennan doesn't seem to be there for 992, but from GT4, Tyler Manning is there. Oh, he is there now. Just I said that. We'll go to Tyler Manning first, though, who wins the GT4 class tonight. Tyler, welcome in. Congratulations on winning in GT4. I said as he came over the line there, that's the most dominant of all four of the classes. Obviously, you won't know that, but how did it feel from inside the car from your perspective in your race?
Oh yeah, it was pretty clean. It's the first time I've been driving the GT4. I did it like a few years ago, so I'm pretty happy how it went. I didn't realize that it would be that much of a spread from the next car, but it wasn't too too much fun with all the other cars coming by. Yeah, but
well, yeah. I was going to ask about that. Yeah, because GT4s now. I mean, last season, for example, we were doing a one-class series where it was all GT3s. Just how has that change been for this season?
Oh, it's definitely a lot more fun, but a lot more hectic, especially with all the differencing of speed, especially in the GT4 class. I think at one point I saw one of the GT3 cars pass me and didn't see the leader for the P2 cars right behind him, so I almost took him out. So I'm thankful I saw him last minute. But it should be interesting for everyone to find out how everyone deals with the traffic. But yeah, it should be cool for the next race.
Well, absolutely. We're looking forward to it. Tyler, congrats on winning in the class tonight, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thank you.
Cheers, thanks very much. Tyler Manning winning in GT4. I will end off with Louis Rios as defending champion. We better just welcome him back into a new season. But Willie Brennan has just popped himself in there just in time for us to chat to the 992.2 overall winner. Willie, welcome in. Congratulations on winning the class in 992 tonight. It was close between you and Skylar Vicar, and actually a few in the early stages of that race, but your pit stop was much shorter and you were able to get out in front as a result. Just tell us how you're feeling at the end of that race.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoy the race that they put on tonight, the different car classes and everything. It was really enjoyable. Skylar, he had a very nice quali, and it was fun fighting him there for a bit. And I guess we didn't get our 50% fuel on our car, so I just put all the fuel in my tank and then just went in for a little bit of repairs.
And it obviously got you out in the front. I mean, just on that traffic point, by the way, there's not many series in iRacing at all that have four different car classes, first of all. And never mind sprint races like this. Just how is that to contend with as the sort of second quickest, if you like, class in this field in such a short time frame?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and that's what drew me into this league. Tyler Manning, he kind of recruited me, or said that he had some buddies that were starting it up, and it was for some veterans, and I was like, well, yeah, that sounds like a good time to me. So yeah.
Well, congrats on winning the first race of the season here tonight, William. Thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks very much. That is Willie Brennan, who wins in 992. And finally, we will chat to Louis Rios, who is a returning defending champion here from this season. Louis, great to have you back. Good to hear from you again at the start of a new season in this series. Fifth place for you tonight. We didn't get to see much of you on the stream, unfortunately, but how did you go?
Hey, Ewan, it's good to talk to you again. It was a fun race. I definitely messed up my my fuel to start the race, so I had to pit about 10 laps earlier than everybody else. So I'll definitely have that fixed for the next race.
Well, yeah, these are all sort of learning curves to get through in a new season. Let's talk a little bit and reflect on the time in between. I mean, how does it feel, first of all, to be back in the Operation Motorsport League once again? First of all, just as a competitor, but also as last season's champion, of course, coming in with that honour as well.
Oh, I felt great, especially the way the last season ended, of course. And then just the fun and the challenge of moving up to a faster car with, some of the pros and the pro Bens and a new challenge is very exciting. So I'm just pumped to be back. And, racing with Opmo is always a blast. So I'm excited that the season's back.
Absolutely. Good to have you back again. Thanks for chatting to us at the end of the first round, Louis, and hopefully we'll chat again over the course of the season.
Thanks to you guys for another great broadcast. I'm looking forward to looking at it. Take it
Thanks
easy.
so much. Cheers. That's Louis Rios, who finishes in 5th place overall here tonight in the opening round of the season. As I say, I won't be able to get to everybody. We'll try and work out a system for getting everybody in over the course of the season, because it'd be nice to chat to everybody down the weeks that we're here. As I said, live here on RaceSpot TV every 2 weeks rather, in this league. Next up at Watkins Glen. But good to have you alongside me, Joey, for this opening round of the season, and indeed hopefully throughout the season too. I mean, what a great way to start this season. I just said to one of the guys there, not many iRacing series you get in the world that have 4 different classes, even in an endurance setting, never mind in such a short 45-minute sprint.
Oh, it reminds me of the days when you and I were growing up and most endurance races had the 4 classes. Now we're condensed to 2 a lot of times, so it's kind of a blast to the past, and this is a lot of fun. I cannot wait to get to Watkins Glen in a couple weeks. Of course, Ewan, is always great to work alongside you.
Yeah, great to work alongside you as well. It's good to be back in 2 weeks' time, indeed, at Watkins Glen, 3rd of March. Should be 7 p.m. Eastern, although as some of the guys were discussing there, if we push back to last season's start time, then it will be starting an hour later than we did tonight. And of course, we've got a time zone change coming up in March, so we're going to be, our heads are going to be spinning. But anyway, we'll be live sometime around there. Of course, we'll have that scheduled when it arrives at the correct time. So just look out for that on the RaceBot TV channel, and we'll be live with it. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Jeremy Scott with Augustin Snells behind the cameras of this RaceBot TV broadcast of the opening round of the Operation Motorsport eMotorsport iRacing series from Road Atlanta. Great to be back for season 12, and we're underway with a bang here at Road Atlanta. Hope to see you again in 2 weeks' time at Watkins Glen. But for now, from all of us, it's goodbye.